um, we were sitting at the kitchen table, and Annie told me this story, and I think it's very, very interesting, and it's very uh, absolutely critical for Tai Chi. So why don't you just say what you said before? Tell them.
Well, just to give you guys some context, I've been working with putting. Malcolm's always saying when I get into these situations health wise, they come with a lot of pain, and he's always saying put your attention on the bottom of your feet. Put your attention on the bottom of your feet. And so I've started doing that. When I sort of run into issues, I'll switch into that really quickly. The other day when we get our second shingle shot for the vaccine, it's a difficult thing. I can feel the material going into my body, and I just and I just went, put your attention on the bottom of your feet, and it literally could feel like a little switch,
Hmm.
a little energetic switch, and there's a difference in the way that I'm feeling. It's still happening, but I'm feeling more calm. I'm feeling more. I'm just feeling better. So we got through that, got to the car, and this medicine is starting to go through my body, and I can feel it, and I don't like it, and I can feel my response, which is to clamp my belly and to start going into some kind of an anxiety attack. And I was just like, put your attention on the bottom of your feet. I can hear his voice in my head. Put your attention on the bottom of your feet. So I did. I'm sitting in the car and I'm literally just putting my attention on the bottom of my feet. And it's not that this isn't still happening, but it's happening less, and I can feel it subside. And again, I feel this kind of switch. When I move my attention and my consciousness to the bottom of my feet, the energetic pattern in my body switches. And today, when we were doing Qigong, I'm still feeling the effects of the shingle shot. It just knocked me out. The first 48 hours, I could hardly think and operate.
She's in bed,
I
basically.
was just in bed. And I started coming out of it, spending a lot of time with my attention on the bottom of my feet, and doing qigong in the bed. And so today, when we were doing qigong, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what is that energetic switch, and then that led me to meditating on holding the two energies, yang energy, which I associate with my crown chakra and the sun and all of that, and realizing that I'd spent my life really cultivating this part, this energetic part of my body, my existence. And so today I was really trying to feel that. What does this mean? Why is there some innate, inherent, ingrained resistance in me to grounding, to really, really exploring yin energy, the dark, the wet, just the fecundity of it, and realizing that that I've been experiencing a real resistance to it. Now, it's partly our culture, because our culture is just yang based, and yin has become, sort of taboo. Uh,
And
but let me tell you, getting grounded by putting your attention, your consciousness, your energy on the bottom of your feet is just, now I feel like some kind of tuning fork.
that's an excellent
This is the
metaphor.
this I am a tuning fork, plugged in to Mother Earth right now. And I think the next 20 years of my life, if I get to live that long, I'm going to be exploring that energy. I've had lots of time in this energy space. I'm going to be exploring this energy space.
You know,
Fascinating.
it
Really
is,
Such
it
a good
is
story.
Feeling the switch, literally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, all the energy levels, feeling the switch go from to
our culture, the Western culture that France shares with the United States, is basically a Christian culture, um, and even the parts that are still pagan, they're very oriented toward a solar approach, a solar god. Jesus is a solar god.
yeah.
And even though Yahweh originally was a storm god, he became a solar god, and Jesus is definitely a solar god. So we're very oriented. Heaven's up there, right?
Yeah.
That's where you want to go. You want to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And if you're Elon Musk, you want to get in a rocket ship and you want to go up to Mars or something. So it's all associated with lifting off the ground. And there's nothing wrong with solar energy. The wrongness comes from the imbalance,
Yeah. Yeah.
from getting ungrounded from the chthonic energy.
Yeah.
Chthonic energy is earth energy.
What's really fascinating to me right now is, why do I have this resistance to it? And why am I much more aware of it when I'm actually meditating and being present in the present moment? That I'm much more aware of how unbalanced I am in that energy.
Yes.
But if I go back to my childhood on the farm, I have this capsule of memories where I was not separated from that energy.
Well, you have Annie has a story. Maybe she'll tell you this story. Annie, as a child, had a very interesting spiritual experience when she was out in one of the fields. And that is actually, now that I think about it, is a wonderful image of balance. Because on the one hand, you had your naked toes in the dirt.
Yes, yes.
And on the other hand, you were really aware of the
Boom,
sun.
Boom, boom.
Now you got to tell them that story.
And when I go back and touch that touchstone, and remember what it felt like to have no separation. There was no separation. What was happening was yin and yang energy was actually in me and combined and equal.
Yes.
Which is how I got to experience there is no separation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There is no real separation between yin and yang. Yin and yang are like this.
Or anything else.
Well, everything. Yin and yang represents everything.
I've used all my words, honey. Anyway, listen to his voice the next time you're feeling whatever. It's like, put your attention on the bottom of your feet.
Well, that in your farm story, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, that's what
you were putting your attention on the bottom of your feet.
Well,
at
the
least
sun
in part.
was right here, and the earth was coming up.
How old were you?
About 4.
4.
4 or 5.
So they sent her out into the potato patch to gather crickets for fishing. And she had a little cage, and she would gather crickets from the potato plants and put them in this little cage. And what she had was an awakening. She just woke up to the fact that I'm here. I'm on this earth, and this sun is hitting my head, and everything's wonderful. All right? And before that, I think you were still a little embryo, kind of, in a way. And it was sort of like the larva turns into a butterfly suddenly.
Yeah, it was.
Suddenly you're conscious.
And I remembered it, and I always referred to it.
Well,
In times of sorrow and stress, I would
remember that, remember
Yeah.
that, and remember the ground under your feet.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, sweetie.
you're welcome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, Jill.
This whole thing about grounding, if you're going to be a martial artist, now I want to push someone here. I need to ground myself down there. All right. You can't just do this. There's nothing there, or not much there. All right. You need to ground. Boom. But the really important thing in studying Tai Chi is not to become a martial artist. I don't think any of us are trying to be martial artists. I don't want to have a cage match. That's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is finding through this particular path ways to live more consciously. And Annie has her own, everybody's on their own path that they're walking. But we can certainly compare notes. And this idea of grounding is really important. And it's, the truth is, in the modern world, we are ungrounded, all of us, everybody, not just in America or France, but now all around the world. We're more and more ungrounded. And of course, you don't even know you're ungrounded. So the first step in training yourself for real Tai Chi and Qigong is to become aware of what it is you don't know about. One of the things you don't know about is there's 14 pounds of pressure on every square inch of your skin. Another thing you don't know is you're not actually touching the ground. What does it mean to be ungrounded? I mean, my feet are touching the ground. They must be touching the ground. All right? But they could be touching the ground physically without touching the ground energetically. It's almost like there's some kind of insulation between your foot and the ground. So when you practice your Tai Chi and Qigong, let everything sink. Imagine in this hourglass that there's a stopper in between here. So I can have all the sand up above, but it doesn't drop down. So to learn how to ground, you got to take that stopper out and let your energetic sand drop down. That requires time and a cat. You know, I like to joke about, I love cats, so I like to joke about the cats, but having a pet, an animal, a dog or a cat, is also part of getting grounded. Having a family that you're close with and that, you know, you hug and you touch and you make love and you have dinner and all these things, those are all ways of getting grounded too. All right? But this study of Tai Chi and Qigong is, boy, it's really, really, really important all the way down.